This is CNN Breaking News.
We're going to get to all those stories in a moment, but first we need to start with this breaking news. Good morning, everybody. I'm Christy Paul.
I'm Victor Blackwell. Good to be with you. The U.S. is evacuating about 100 special forces from an air base in Yemen. Sources tell CNN it's due to the deteriorating security situation in that country.
CNN's senior international correspondent Nick Payton-Walsh joining us by phone right now. So, Nick, is this the last of the American troops who are stationed there?
That is said to be the case, yes. And obviously many of the U.S. operations in Yemen have been shrouded in secrecy, to the nature of what they are, advanced counter-terror operations using drone aircraft to attack al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula's leadership. But ever since the U.S. Embassy was closed back in January, I think possibly February, as a result of the deteriorating security situation in Yemen, that counter-terror mission has been severely in jeopardy. Yes, Pentagon officials suggested they would be able to continue much of what they could do, perhaps remotely or from other locations, but lacking an embassy was a significant blow to that operation. Now, the remaining 100 special forces, or U.S. special forces in Yemen, have been, or are in the process now, of being evacuated. We are told, my colleague Barbara Starr is told, that is because in the area where there were on Thursday and Friday two apparent possible prison breaks in which al-Qaeda prisoners may have left detention facilities. That, of course, may have tipped the balance. Obviously, special forces can only protect themselves so much in a hostile environment like that. But it has been clear for some time that while the Houthis are not overtly anti-American in their behavior, one of their slogans is death to America. The Houthis are the movement that have swept to power in that country. They've taken over the capital, Sana'a. They were the targets, though, of the blast on Friday that ripped through those two mosques in the central capital. But I think the turmoil that their rise to power and the collapse of the government as a result of that has caused has certainly made the Pentagon have to reassess its ability to keep troops and personnel in the country. And it now appears they've made a pretty finite decision. Victor, Christy?
So the latest terror attacks in Yemen, this country falling into chaos, it sounds like the narrative, Nick, that we heard about Libya just a couple of months ago. The civilians, U.S. civilians out at the closing of the embassy there, and now this fertile ground for terror in Libya. Does it seem that that's the path that Yemen is taking as well?
Well, Yemen has been in chaos and been a ground for terror for years now. Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula has been very heavily based there, the target of those U.S. drone strikes. The question we face now is whether this could be an even more significant worsening of the current crisis. Yemen's had a faltering government for years, but now it doesn't really appear to have much of a government at all. Those in control of the capital, as I said, are the Houthi movement, and the President Hadi, still internationally recognized in the southern city of Aden, trying to cobble together what he can, retaining his hand possibly on the levers of infrastructure in the country. But he's severely compromised. The question now is, given that ISIS claim responsibility for that blast on Friday, we don't know if they did it, but they say they did, and the other potential main suspect, al-Qaeda, said they didn't do it. So the balance of probability lends itself towards ISIS. That marks a grave departure for Yemen, because ISIS has never been thought to have a significant presence in that country. If they were behind those blasts, that's troubling, because it suggests there's a new player, a more troubling player even than al-Qaeda in Yemen. But on top of that, too, it does suggest perhaps there is an active agent now trying to foment sectarian violence in Yemen. These were Shia worshippers targeted in the mosques, and ISIS and al-Qaeda are Sunni extremists. And the fear potentially is that Yemen, already racked by corruption, anarchy, chaos, faltering government, tribal warfare, may now have the worrying spectre of sectarian violence, that Sunni on Shia violence we're seeing across the Middle East, replicating itself now in Yemen. Victor, Christy?
All right, Nick Payton-Walsh joining us by phone with the breaking news this morning. Nick, thank you so much.